Chris, help me out here. Now, there's a concept in this piece, and one of the concepts is that there's a bunch of sections that are without mercy, if you like, that are just absolutely radically put together, built up, complete changes all the time. I get that. Now, how did we approach the different sections exactly? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember this well. So this track was the most like a process oriented piece than I think any of them. The other ones were more, I think, approached often like song structures. But we had an idea on this track when we were sitting down with nothing, with an empty palette. I don't even think there was an idea at first. I think like you were sitting down and you took a loop of a thing from the forest and you did like a rhythmic section, and then you were like, why don't you do the next section? And then I then picked a section, and then we decided within that period of time, hold on, let's try this. Let's go for 5 minutes approximately, and we'll rotate. You have essentially about 30 seconds each to develop a rhythmic pattern, so essentially a rhythmic track. And we rotated back and forth where like you worked on a rhythmic idea, I left you alone, then it was my turn and I put in the next one. So it was like this quilt patchwork rotating back and forth. The structure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we got to the end and we were like, well, that's interesting, but what are we going to do with this? And then one of us proposed, what if we now play backwards through the piece, and one person does the music over the other person's rhythm. So you did like the last section of rhythm. So I started there and I played some music over the top of that, like improvised.
Oh, we went backwards, did we?
And we went backwards to the second. So we went forwards, building up the track, rotating, like kind of composing the rhythm. And then we went backwards from the end, composing the music, rotating back and forth.
Yeah. The rule was that was it. It was like no further overdubs. That was
we hadn't made that decision yet. We had spoken about it, but I was actually against it. If you remember this at first, this track bothered me. I felt it was too scattered and too sectional and possibly too minimal in its arrangements. And you were really into it immediately. Like you loved it. I think like you really felt an attachment to it or an appreciation for it immediately.
Yeah.
And over the course of because this is the first track we finished, because we did it like on the,
it was when it was done. It was done.
It was done. And then we did it on the third day or whatever. Yeah. So it was done really quickly. It was the first track we finished for sure.
That's
and true. Over the period of time, it grew on me to the point where it's interesting now. I can understand why it would definitely not be a favorite for certain people, because it is very like abrasively sectional in a way, but I find it's probably my favorite track on the album.
It's a beautiful journey for me,
because
the sectionality is again, I mean, we've been here before musically together, but we're turning a corner. It's like being in you could be it's like walking in the woods, and suddenly you turn a corner and a new vista is exposed. Suddenly you see a snow-capped mountain, or you see a pile of scree, or the verdant greenery disappears and there's a rock wall or something.
Yeah.
It's that kind of disjointedness, but actually exists in nature.
Yeah. And it really, when I was listening to it, I was thinking about that, because I know we spoke about how it was really emblematic of the concept of like a walk in the woods. It's kind of like a walk through digital music woods or something, even though all the rhythms are drawn from the forest sounds, so that's still there. But
and one of the things that anchored it for me, made it such a powerful piece, was the wonderful melody that in the second section.
In the beginning, the intro starts with the thing, and then it drops into that melody, which is really, really cool melodic section. I agree.
Beautiful section. So
also so much. Odd meter too, and it's so
13/4. 13.
So it's like a form of 7 or something, and which it's just interesting because you don't feel that until you kind of notice it, because it's very kind of natural. And
it's beautiful, and we love that, and that really needs to be flagged up, I think, in the process. And of course, we edited that section in twice.
That was the only thing that we edited
Yes,
after the fact.
it is the only thing. And
Section,
that we had quite a
edited back
long.
in at the end.
We meditated on that quite. We meditated on that quite considerably, I think, before we decided that was acceptable. But it's so powerful. I think when we did it, one of us did the edit. It doesn't, you know, when we did the edit, then it became apparent. I mean, yeah, okay, we can do this because it's such a wonderful. It's worth repeating.
And I think the only overdub was your bass drum.
On the second time of the melody.
Well, we didn't have a bass drum in the beginning. We added a bass.
No, the second time the melody comes, there's a bass drum on it. Yeah.
Okay, but is that bass drum powering through the song for a while?
No. I think I don't know. I don't think so. But I certainly noticed it on the second time of the melody, and I saw in my notes here. Maybe the kick drum is somewhere else as well. I don't know, but that's where I really noticed it. The small development in the second.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things that I appreciated listening to it is, even though it is so sectional, part of the result of it being so sectional, there's so many cool moments.
Yeah.
So many like interesting musical textures and phenomena. Like,
and it's our most minimal piece on the album, and it's very powerful.
Yeah.
That's really encouraged me to embrace minimalism. And do you remember Fox Hollow was? You're quite right. It was one of the first ones that we finished. We played it when Kevin came to visit. We played it to him, didn't we?
Yeah, my friend Kevin McMahon. He was. I'm just saying this for anyone who's listening, but he's I've done 2 different projects with him. As a producer, but he's a great producer, mixer up here in the Hudson Valley.
He's a big part of the OSC family, I always think. I mean, I don't know.
He did the Mouse project that it was 4 albums now from it, and then we did that project, Experimental Music Summer Camp. That's 3 albums that we haven't released yet. So I mean, now we've done 7 albums. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so he was very excited to meet you. That was the big thing.
I was very excited to
Gareth Jones. Yeah,
I was very excited to meet Kevin as well, because I knew what an important role he played in the work so far of the label, you know. And I remember you and I have a slightly different approach, or had perhaps. I like playing. I've learned to like playing unfinished work to friends and colleagues and musicians who visit the studio. I've learned to really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I remember we had this discussion. I said, "Come on, we got to play Kevin some tracks."
Yeah, I'm so glad we did. Nervous about that normally, to play something that's unfinished like that. But yeah, we followed your lead, and he loved it. Yeah, we have video of that moment. This track in particular, like you said, he was really into. It's kind of
great.
Yeah,
that was a special moment. And otherwise, about Fox Hollow, of course, and the title seemed to me, for me, as perhaps for you, that's one of the core pieces of the record, if you like. It's deep towards the heart of the record. It's 4 tracks in, I think, out of 9.
Yeah,
it's somewhere approaching the metaphysical, spiritual center of the record, and I loved the fact when we went for a walk in the woods. You obviously know the woods, and I don't, so I'm there as a tourist, and it's all fresh for me. But we parked up in a place called Fox Hollow, and I saw the sign, and I took a photograph of it, and we probably sampled a bit.
No, I think that was the actual hiking trail we were on. I think it was called Fox Hollow too.
Is it? Okay. I just remember seeing a big.
There's sign. A bunch of trails that merge right there in that area, or like that trail heads that go in different directions there. Yeah. But I'm pretty certain the one that we were on, where we recorded that, was called Fox Hollow.
Okay, but I certainly remember seeing the sign when we parked up and offloaded our equipment and set off into the woods, and that really struck me. I think it's a beautiful name, Fox Hollow, the place as well.
Well, it was really, I think, good for this track too, because this rhythm sections on that, like, whereas I think most of the other tracks, if not all, when there's a rhythm part, except maybe like across like 2 sections, like an A and B section, they were like one jam, you know, like one thing defined the track. This track was like each section is like a different kind of improvisational moment or a different jam in the woods. So it was like the whole path, I feel like, in the woods for us was on this track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And
Which makes it kind of cool. And I think the Fox Hollow name is really appropriate because of that.
Yeah. And that's forever burnt into my memory, and a strong memory, because that's the sign that we saw as we pulled up. You know, that's kind of the place where we set off from, in my mind. As you say, maybe the trail's called Fox Hollow.
What?